Hello, welcome to the Hard Carry. I'm your host Adam Fitch. As always, what I'm going to do is take you through what's happened in the esports industry on the business side, kind of give a bit of context as to why it matters in the grand scheme of things. So, wasting no time, what I want to do is go into a big announcement that I broke on Esports Insider Monday morning, which was Gareth Bale, the Real Madrid and Wales professional footballer, launching his own team alongside 38 entertainment group called Ellevens Esports. Now, while it sounds like a big thing having Gareth Bale in esports and it may bring some more eyes over, really I don't think it's going to impact things too much. We've seen traditional sports stars come into the space and invest or start their own efforts, and nothing's really materialised too much in a major way. So what's notable here is that, as you'd expect with Bale being a footballer, Ellevens Esports is first going to compete in FIFA, with plans to go into CSGO and Rocket League, as well as Fortnite in the coming months. So it's hard to say that it's making big moves initially. Obviously, the FIFA roster it's signed will compete in the FIFA E-Club World Cup, I believe it's called. It's very much a mouthful, later this month. And personally, I can't see a world in which the organisation signs a promising team in CSGO, for example. It's going to be very difficult. Fortnite and Rocket League, it's a bit easier, especially with Fortnite. You can grab some up-and-comers, get some really young people on board. Rocket League, there are a couple of unsigned teams that they could grab that are on like the top flight of player or just underneath that. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, really. I don't think it's necessarily a big one in the grand scheme of things, as I say, though it is something to keep an eye on nonetheless. We also did an interview with the co-founder, so Larry Cohen and Jonathan Kark. You go to Esports Insider if you want to check that out. So next up, Ult, the brand owned by Ultimate Media Ventures, apparel and merchandise retail company, partnered with Activision Blizzard to launch merchandise for the Call of Duty League. It's new, kind of one of its two flagship esports efforts. So Ult, in terms of Call of Duty, has previously worked with E United. I believe they've still signed a deal, though they don't seem to be too active. Dubbed the Night Shift Collection. Going live today, or yesterday actually, on February 7th, it was supposed to have gone live. I haven't checked to see if it is live or not, but I believe the collection includes merchandise for the New York Subliners, owned by Andbox, as well as the LA Gorillas, owned by the Cronkies. So they're kind of blacked out simplistic designs, but people were definitely not happy with the merchandise offering that was available at the beginning of the league and just before it had launched, with kind of cut and paste designs, almost identical jerseys besides the colouring and the logo changing, so this offers an alternative, but it is still quite a simplistic design, and it seems to be a staggered approach in terms of releasing for different teams at different times. I could be wrong on that, but that's the impression I got. I actually spoke to Nate Ekman, the co-founder of the brand and the company, about it. That's also live on Esports Insider. Not to plug the publication too much, but you can go read more about it there. There's a lot of insight into what went into the collection, how the partnership was established. Obviously, I will say that Ult came and kind of saved the day a little bit when it came to Overwatch League's second season. It also had the same problem of very dry and boring merchandise. Ult came in and offered some nice alternatives and probably generate quite a bit of money. So Activision Blizzard thought, okay, we'll do the same thing with the Call of Duty League and bring them in there. I haven't seen many people talking about this just yet, but it is new. It is very much a new collection. So over time, if people like the designs, I imagine you'd see that prop up. And if it goes well, then you can kind of expect more collaborations, both between these two, and I imagine Activision Blizzard may look outside and partner with other companies as well, probably non-endemics, because they love to do that to see how it goes. So yeah, that's a take there. I can also confirm that Ult is working alongside teams to create like special capsule collections for the teams as well. So that's something to keep an eye out. It's not groundbreaking in the grand scheme of things by any means. It's not going to change the industry at all, but it's a sign that Activision Blizzard recognises that things weren't great with the first merchandise drop and realised it needed some outside help to create something good for the fans. because obviously monetization is difficult, and that's got to be a priority straight away, especially with the cost of hosting all these home event series and home series events, like traveling to London and Paris and LA and New York and Minnesota. It goes on. So moving on to North American / Berlin, I guess, based organization, Misfits Gaming, and its parent company, Misfits Gaming Group, which also owns the Florida Mutineers, which is a Call of Duty League franchise, and Florida Mayhem, which is an Overwatch League franchise. Bear me a second. Sorry about that. So it's received grants. Misfits Gaming Group has received grants to establish its headquarters in Florida. It'll be 18,000 square feet, and the investment itself will cost over $1.35 million for the group. But the grants it has received, let me see if I can find that. It will receive over $200,000 in grants and tax refunds from the local and state government, which is quite a big deal. Like an esports organization receiving tax refunds and being encouraged to establish itself in a state, in a particular like a city, state, whatever it may be. It is a state, but yeah, I'm not brushed up on American geography by any means. But yeah, so this is a big deal in a sense that it's esports being recognised, and they understand that apparently 30 jobs are set to be created from this organisational headquarters being created, basically, and it'll not only house day-to-day operations for the group and its teams, but it'll also house the teams as well. So as I say, the Mutineers and Mayhem will train, compete, and kind of be based out of this I was going to say compound then, because 100 Thieves, this facility, once it is built, and I believe it's set to be like working in 2021. So that's when everything should be up and running. So looking through, I don't think there's anything else, but yeah, it's another. It's another in a long list of names now where organisations are spending a shit ton of money to establish these flashy headquarters. We've got FlyQuest with the greenhouse, 100 Thieves with its Cash App compound, Complexity's GameStop Performance Centre, so on and so forth. I think it kind of gets lost on people that these places are predominantly for work and not just for content. Obviously, you can create a lot of content around them, and it can be good to kind of utilise it for different things, but as long as it's effective for the workers and creates more opportunities, as I say, with the 30 jobs, and allows for the organisation to take things to the next level and kind of make its money back, hopefully, which you'll obviously be hoping to do with this investment, then I see it as a positive thing. And yeah, it's just another sign that moving away from gaming houses, also moving away from just spending loads on boot camps and independent facilities, and organisations are establishing their own home bases to work from. And Misfits Gaming isn't the biggest organisation in terms of fan perception, but it's got solid backing with the Miami Heat and such. And yeah, this is just another sign that it's trying its best to compete with the big boys, basically. So what I want to get into next is a CSGO league, dubbed the First Team Owned. So once known as B-Site, that was the co-name for the project until it was fully unveiled. It's now been announced. It was announced at a press conference earlier in the week that FLASHPOINT is the name. So FLASHPOINT will be the main competitor to ESL with its ESL Pro League for 2020 and beyond, with the likes of Monte Cristo and Thorin really being like the creative leads on the project, with the brains of like Dan Fiden from Cloud9 and Face It will no doubt have a big input. This is the next, hopefully the next big thing, and they're kind of envisioning it as the next big thing for esports as a whole, with a grittier take comparable to the UFC, for example. So obviously with Thorin and Monty on board, it's gonna be edgy, and it's gonna try and push the envelope a little bit. So $2 million will be up for grabs in the 2020 season. I think it's actually like a 2-week stint with online qualifiers, letting non-partner teams get in on the action as well. So the owners of the league, in terms of the teams that have invested so far, there are 6. So there's Immortals Gaming Club, which owns MIBR, the Brazilian brand and team, Overactive Media, the Canadian organisation and group, which owns Mad Lions, as well as the Toronto Defiant franchise and the Toronto Ultra franchise in Overwatch League and Call of Duty. Cloud9, self-explanatory. Gen G, self-explanatory. Dignitas, who just put together the old NIP roster again and invested massively into this, obviously $2 million. And Contact Gaming, which is, they've acquired the X-Crazy roster, and Contact Gaming is the parent company and the ownership group behind Paris Eternal and the Paris Legion, Overwatch League and Call of Duty franchises yet again. So I believe there are more to come in terms of partnered teams, but if not, I believe there's between 10 to 12 teams supposed to be competing in the tournament-style competition, which is being called a league officially, but it's like tournaments realistically. So the logic behind the league is that it's funded by organisations to, and I quote, create sustainability and prosperity for both the teams themselves and the players. It's said to have an unprecedented revenue share and a lot of monetization ideas to create a better future for CSGO and probably lead the pack in esports as a whole as well, because the problem of not making enough money is widespread. Like, everybody's trying to work out what the hell they can do to actually realize the promise that's been sold of esports being the next big thing, you know. So yeah, it's described as a unique entertainment product that was devised especially to address the core issues that threaten CSGO, which is a lack of stability and long-term investment, and also the immediate threat to these organisations that compete of the establishment of a monopoly through tournament organisers, which we've seen with the hard and soft exclusivity that's being played about with at the moment, with like Blast Pro Series last year, which is now rebranded to Blast Premier, and we've got ESL Pro League as well as FLASHPOINT now. So Thorin and Monty are involved both in front of and behind the screens, and then we've got the likes of Semler, DDK, Bardolph, Anders, Moses, and Sean Gares all involved. So it's going to be a divisive year for CS:GO, but hopefully, well, what we'll see is one will kind of come forward as the victor as such. You'd imagine one will be like a lot more promising and a lot more established after this year, so it's just kind of sitting tight and seeing what's what. But you can go check out the branding wherever you want. It is on the Esports Insider, but it's also available everywhere else. There's videos out now as well. Faceit will operate the league, though it only has a very minor interest in it as well, and I believe B-Site Inc., which is the company behind Flashpoint, will indeed be able to kick Faceit out if it wants to in the future, though it does want to keep the relationship alive, especially after Faceit's just scrapped ECS to allow this to happen, you know. So big deal there for CSGO, but could well influence the wider esports community and industry moving forward. And the last story I want to touch on may not seem like the biggest deal realistically. It's not as flashy as other deals, but it is a solid partnership, and it's quite a unique one. I'll explain why. So Immortals Gaming Club, owner of Immortals, owner of MIBR, owner of Los Angeles Valiant and the LA Optic, which are also Overwatch League and Call of Duty League franchises, has partnered with the Southern California Toyota's Dealers Association. So basically, we'll just say like a regional branch of Toyota. So, and this is specifically for its LCS team, and what we've actually seen in recent times, I think actually as recent as the 19th of January this year, that Nissan was sponsoring the team, the LCS team. So they started Road to Immortals, presented by Nissan, which was like a carpool karaoke style thing. They're not singing there, they're just talking about the season, how it's going to go, and building the team. And Immortals coming back into the North American LCS after Immortals Gaming Club bought out Optic Gaming and got its spot that was previously owned by Infinite Esports and Entertainment. So what's happened here is Nissan has been chucked out, basically. The deal is over, the one that was actually withstanding with Infinite, which now Immortals owns, and instead Toyota's come in. And we're seeing like Kia Motors with LEC, for example, and BMW and Cloud9. So having a partner that's a massive automobile manufacturer isn't anything new by now. It's still notable though, and yeah, it's just Nissan seemingly out of nowhere. Bye Toyota, come in, let's go. And obviously deals take a long time to establish and bring together and present. So this must have been in the works for a while, and actually acquiring Optic Gaming and the Nissan partnership may have actually delayed this Toyota deal for Immortals Gaming Club. So I think that's everything majorly. That's about it. There were lots of happenings. Like January was the busiest month ever since I've been covering it for the sports industry. For about 2 years now. By far the busiest. We've got like Monumental Sports and Entertainment partnering with the Embassy of the United Arab Emirates, for example. That's something to go check out. I reported exclusively that GG Intel, an esports publication backed by Fred Dunn, the co-founder of bookmaker Betfred, is actually going to rebrand to GG Recon following a legal battle with Intel. You can go read that on the website as well. There's a link on my Twitter, for example. It's basically everywhere now. So yeah, Respawn Products also did some bits. It's a gaming furniture company, so chairs and desks and such, partnered with Houston Outlaws, the Overwatch League franchise, owned exclusively by the Beasley Media Group, having been bought from Immortals Gaming Club, and as well as Atlanta Esports Ventures, which owns the Overwatch League franchise, Atlanta Reign, and Call of Duty League franchise, Atlanta FaZe. There's a lot of franchises. So yeah, I think that's everything. That's this week of Hard Carry done. As always, it's on YouTube, but it's also available on all major and minor, basically, podcast platforms, audio platforms. So go check it out, subscribe, like it, whatever you want to do on that front if you want to stay up to date. Again, it's supposed to be a bite-sized recap of the industry, so you don't have to trudge through millions of articles each week. Stay tuned. Plenty going to go on in 2020, I'm sure, and I'm happy to break it down for you all in such a short space of time. It seems to make everything easier, and it helps with my memory as well, so 2 birds, 1 stone, you know. Again, thank you very much for watching or listening, and I will see you next Saturday. Cheers.